Guys, welcome back to the Ant Analysis. I've got some updates from the last couple of weeks since free agency market opened up. Pretty slow going in the free agency world, at least over the last couple of weeks since the league year started on the 12th. Let's just hop right into it. So some notable contract extensions. Jamar Chase signed a huge deal, 4 years. The Bengals just kind of went out and spent a bunch of money actually this year. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both got new deals done. Jamar Chase had a 4-year, $161 million, and T. Higgins got a 4-year, $115 million extension to keep those two both with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals for the next 4 years at least, which is good to see because Burrow really wanted to keep them both around, and both of them wanted to stay. It's nice to see Higgins get an extension for his consistent play over the last several years. So it's good to see those two stick together in Cincinnati. They definitely need it for the offensive weapons, especially because Cincinnati's got pretty distraught defense is one way to look at it. They had a lot of problems this last year, so making sure that their offense stays high-powered and allow them to keep them in games would be pretty good for them. The Cincinnati Bengals re-signed Mike Gesicki to a 3-year deal. I think that's a nice addition for them, or a nice keep for them. Like I said, keeping that offense together with Higgins and Chase, both signing deals to stay. Keeping the core of the offense intact is really nice for consistency, and I'd like to see them just kind of build on last year's production, especially with how nice of a target Gesicki is, especially for third downs and just being a reliable, good hands tight end. Kareem Hunt signed a 1-year deal, re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know I mentioned last video that I wasn't sure if he was going to re-sign. I think like 2 days after I posted that video, it was announced that, or 2 days after I recorded that video, it was announced that they're bringing him back. So that's pretty good for them. He was a pretty good third down back for them, and he really stepped in and helped the run game flourish with Isaiah Pacheco being on IR last year for as long as he was. So I think it was a good pickup for them. It'll be nice to see if he's had the same kind of production this year. Derek Stingley Jr. re-signed a $90 million 3-year extension. The Texans have made a lot of moves this offseason. I think it's a pretty good deal for them, though, keeping their defense intact and keeping it pretty high-powered. Stingley played super good this last year, so it's good to see them retain him. Some big free agent news. I think the biggest one of the last couple weeks was the Cooper Kupp deal going to Seattle. I think that's huge, especially since they let since all they have left is really Jackson Smith and Jigba out of their original receiving core from last year, since they traded Metcalf and they let Lockett walk, or they cut Lockett. So Cooper Kupp going there should be pretty good for him, and especially be good for Sam Darnold to have a nice seasoned veteran wide receiver like Kupp to go to. Dante Fowler Jr. signed a stint again with the Cowboys to have another chance to go there, so that'd be pretty good for them, I think. The Seahawks signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 1-year deal, which is probably good for them since they let 2 of their top wide receivers walk or get traded in free agency. So bringing him in along with Cooper Kupp will be good for Sam Darnold, bringing some veterans. Hopefully Valdes-Scantling can get his drops under control. It's kind of been a problem of his. It's kind of haunted him throughout his career. Seattle also signed DeMarcus Lawrence to a 3-year deal, which would be really big for them on the defensive side of the football. He's always been a huge game disruptor for Dallas, so it'd be nice to see how he plays out up there and see if Seattle can get their defense back to what it was in the mid-2010s. The Bills re-signed Khalil Shakir to a 4-year extension. That's one I don't have on the board back here behind me, as I'm just reading it now. I'm sure this was posted a little while ago. But it's a 4-year deal worth up to $60 million. I think that's a really good extension for the Buffalo. He's been really consistent for them, and especially with Mac Hollins leaving to the Patriots this year, I think Josh Allen definitely needs that consistency at wide receiver, especially with how Shakir's played. Mecole Hardman signed a 1-year deal with the Packers. I know last time I talked about all the free agents and just roster cuts that the San Francisco 49ers made. They did re-sign Kyle Juszczyk back to 2-year, $8 million deal, which I think is good for them. He's been really reliable for them, just kind of both as a halfback blocker, pass catcher out of the backfield, and just a power back. So, and I know everyone in San Francisco really likes him there, so it's a good signing for them, I think, to bring him back. Stephon Diggs signed a 3-year, $69 million deal with the Patriots. I think that's pretty good for them, especially since the Patriots really only have Mac Hollins as a notable wide receiver in their locker room right now. But I think this will be a really big signing for Drake May to help him kind of take that next step this year and hopefully put the Patriots back in a place to contend, at least for the division again. It'll still be a pretty tough spot for them. Russell Wilson signed a 1-year deal with the Giants, which I thought was kind of interesting since they already signed Jameis Winston. And I honestly thought that Winston was going to be their starter. Now it seems like they're definitely going to have a competition to see who's going to run the show in New York this year. I think a lot of people were kind of surprised by it. So now I have no idea who's going to start there. So it'll be pretty interesting to kind of see how OTAs go and the preseason looks to see who gets the nod. That's all I really have for free agent news and stuff. I do want to touch on some of the new rule changes, or the proposed rule changes that I saw last week coming out. The Lions proposed new playoff seeding. So instead of the division winners getting the first 4 playoff spots, the first 4 playoff seeds, I should say, they're going to have it. I do believe that the division winners are still going to be guaranteed a playoff spot, but the seeding 1 through 7 will be based on their regular season record. The biggest thing with that is that the Lions and Vikings were 15-2 and the Vikings were 14-3, and kind of depending on how that last game went, it was really the deciding factor for playoff seeding, as the Vikings slipped down to the 5 seed, and they had the second best record in the NFC. Detroit also proposed a new rule to stop defensive holding from being an automatic first down, regardless of the down and distance. It doesn't help that Detroit had 26 of those, which is 2 more than any other team in the league last year. They did have a lot of them, which really does hurt, especially if it's, say, second down and 15. If it's only a 10-yard penalty, it puts it to second and 5, which still isn't great for the defense, but it does make it more manageable instead of just an automatic first down. The Packers proposed a rule to ban the tush push. Essentially, they're just trying to ban anybody who's in the backfield from pushing the quarterback through or over the line. I know that the meme about this, when this rule change was announced, that the Packers are trying to get something banned that they couldn't successfully do themselves. With one of the few times they tried it, Jordan Love kind of stumbled and ended up getting a false start and fell through his offensive line. Philadelphia is proposing an overtime rule change for the regular season to match the playoffs. Currently it sits as overtime rules. Each team gets a possession unless the first possession ends in a touchdown or a safety. They're proposing that both teams get a chance to possess the ball regardless of what the first outcome is, and I've honestly been kind of a huge supporter of this. I thought this should have been the rules a long time ago, that both teams get a possession. There was a proposal entered to allow preparation of kicking balls ahead of game day. Currently, teams are only allowed to condition footballs for kicking 60 minutes prior to the kickoff, whereas regular footballs used for the offense are allowed to be prepped ahead of game day. So I think that, I'm not sure how much that'll really affect anything. I think it's more or less just kind of prep time and getting a ball how a kicker likes it. That rule was proposed by the Vikings, the Ravens, the Browns, the Texans, the Raiders, the Eagles, and the Commanders. So it's definitely something that several teams are looking at hopefully getting changed. The NFL Competition Committee is also put in some rule proposal changes. One of them is to keep the new kicking rule. I kind of like the kickoff change. It was a nice change of pace to see something different, especially since it was so successful in the XFL. So I'm for it. I think it's a good step in the right direction for the NFL. They also want to propose that touchback gets moved from the 30 to the 35. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's already kind of a nice advantage. Putting it at the 30-yard line, it's only 70 yards. So I'm okay with keeping it at the 30-yard line. It doesn't need to get moved, I don't think. Personally, I think it's fine. Some upcoming important dates. The annual league meeting comes up, is March 30th through April 2nd. The draft is April 24th through the 26th, so I'll probably give an update around then. I'll really recap round one just to see kind of where, if teams got better, if there were any surprise picks. Day two, I'll probably just hit a lot of the notable pickups, big names, stuff like that, or major improvements, or big surprise picks that no one was really expecting. Day three, I'll probably do about the same thing, just kind of touch on some roster moves, or maybe pick trades, and just kind of some key position pickups for teams. May 1st is the deadline to extend fifth-year option for rookie deals. Not a whole lot really goes on in June, and then mid-July, I've got July 16th on the board back here. I'll put that up. Is rookie camp start after the draft, so I'll probably touch a little bit to see how teams are doing, getting closer to that, and then once more dates kind of pop in, getting closer to the OTAs and workouts and stuff like that the teams will be putting on. I'll probably update more dates than that, and then especially getting close to preseason. But that's all I got for today. That's the Ant Report, and we'll see you next time.